Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7. I'm your humble host, Podboy in the seat today, Kevin Keatsman, on a Juneteenth kind of day. If that's your thing and you have the day off, thanks for enjoying listening to KCMO Talk Radio. If you're out there working and getting things done, welcome as well. We appreciate that. A little empty here at Cumulus Media today. A lot of folks choosing to take this day off, which is nice. I think I'll use my day some other time, like on a Friday or a Monday if they'll allow it. I don't know much about this company yet, but it seems like if I work today, I ought to be able to get a Friday or Monday off somewhere, and that would fit the schedule a little bit better and probably be better for the radio show. It's great. We're going to have fun, all right? It's not that we're ignoring, Israel and Iran or the protesters in California and all of the things going on in the world, but we're just basically going to try to have fun topics today. And in a moment, our lead is White Ladies OJ. That's it. That's my tease. That's it. We'll talk a little bit about the Gates Barbecue Ballpark plan for a royal tower that looks like the Space Needle or something like that. We'll have some fun with that. The Democrats are broke. That's fun. The DNC is broke. We will get to that. And I don't know if you saw the really great shot yesterday of the flagpole ceremony. Pete was talking about the Trump thing at the White House where he was with all the working folks that were putting the flagpoles in. It was spectacular. There is a still photo of Trump taking pictures with these construction workers off to the side that you're not going to believe what was going on in the background, and it's fantastic. We are just going to have fun today, and we will start today with White Ladies O.J. Simpson moment. This was almost to the day, the anniversary of O.J. running wild in 1994 in his Ford Bronco, which was on June 17th. The jury was literally convening in Massachusetts on the Karen Reed murder and manslaughter trial. If you haven't followed this, Karen Reed is a sort of hot white chick college professor, which I don't know if it all adds up, that had a Lexus SUV that went out in 2022 and got smoked. I mean, just smoked to bejeebas at two different bars. Completely and totally and utterly overserved, and racked up about 50 text messages to her new boyfriend, who was a Boston police officer, just ripping him a new one that he is the worst human being on the planet. He's awful. It was just unbelievable. She was smoked. She was ripping him. And later that night, her Lexus SUV's in the driveway, and he's dead on the lawn in the snow. And so she's arrested for murder and manslaughter. The first trial goes to a mistrial. It's creating all kinds of reasonable doubt. This thing's been going on for 3 years. But what transpired on Wednesday, I have not followed this that closely. So if we're going to do calls or you have a comment, I'll do that all day long. But I don't know the ins and outs of the trial. All I know is the result of the trial, I'll be damned, was the O.J. Simpson trial all over again. 30 years later, it's the O.J. trial. This is what you get in America, okay? We were discussing this in the control room last hour. The trials that get attention, there's only one way to get attention in one of these trials, because a lot of murders happen in this country and a lot of murder trials. There's the heat factor. So Karen Reed's kind of hot, so a lot of people were paying attention to it. If it was an older, big, heavy lady that wears an eye patch that doesn't brush her hair, probably would never have made the news. You wouldn't even know it was happening. Same thing with Luigi Mangione, or whatever the guy's name is, that killed the healthcare CEO. That was a big thing because it was an assassination, yes. But all of a sudden, it became a bigger deal because all the women online are like, holy smokes, this guy's hot. And they love Luigi. The O.J. trial combined everything. That was money and fame. These are the things that happen. We had the girl from Alabama that was killed in Aruba many, many years ago that became a national story. We have the trial going on in Utah right now, or is it Utah or Idaho, where the college girls were, and those were pretty hot college girls all living in one apartment that got slain. It's terrible to say. I'm just being honest. It's what we do here. If you're rich or famous or you're hot, your trial becomes famous. So Karen Reed gets that. But what happened during this, I had no clue. Literally hundreds of thousands, if not millions of women nationwide had mobilized through a blogger and a podcaster who calls himself a journalist, that's fine, who is exposing facts about the case, trying to get Karen Reed off, not guilty of murder and manslaughter of John O'Keefe, the Boston police officer that was dead in a front yard. So we've got all this going on, and there's this groundswell of grassroots support for Karen Reed. Let me remind you, Karen Reed got wasted at 2 different bars. Privileged woman gets behind the wheel of her Lexus SUV, slams into her driveway, doesn't remember any of it. Her alibi is, man, I blacked out. I don't remember anything. I was so crazy drunk. I have no idea what happened. That's her alibi. She's in the house. The dude is dead on the lawn in the snow. And she was declared not guilty yesterday of murder and manslaughter. And thousands of Karens had gathered outside this trial. And they went crazy. Crazy, crazy. They're all wearing pink. They have their own little hand signal, which is your index finger, your pinky, and your thumb all up at the same time. I didn't know what it was. It almost looks like the Texas hook 'em horn, but the thumb is there too. Every day, these women would stand outside the courthouse during the trial, and they'd lift their hands up like that. Oh, that's sign language for I love you, Karen. Karens outside love Karen in the courtroom getting off on murder and manslaughter. I can't tell you that she did it, but here's why it's OJ. They went crazy. She comes out and speaks to them, and it's like their Ayatollah was in the courtyard. They're all going to get on their knees and bow and pray to Mecca. It's all going to happen. Here we go. There she is. Oh, my God, there she is. These people went crazy. It was all women. It was their OJ moment. And they love her, love her, love her. I don't know whether Karen Reed is conservative or liberal. She looks kind of conservative. Like you wouldn't look at her and go, okay, there's a whacked out lib. That if you're just trying to play that game. And she was a college professor. So I'm thinking there were a lot of women out there that loved her that are in education, got nothing to do. Here we are, summer again. And they had gathered. But this was an indelible moment. If you have not seen it, it is remarkable. It did not get a lot of the news coverage that I thought it would. It did when it first happened, but there's other stuff going on in the world. I'm telling you, this is the OJ trial. They can't find anyone else or any other theory for why that man is dead. No, I mean, zero. There's nothing. What else could it be? There's nothing in his body. He didn't take anything. There wasn't a gunshot. There was no evidence. There was nothing. There was just a car on the driveway angled at him and footsteps in the snow back to where he fell or whatever and died. But there was enough reasonable doubt. She had an unbelievable legal team. It's the same group of folks that you can imagine that come support every high-profile case, and they're really good at creating reasonable doubt and getting you off. Doesn't mean she didn't do it. Doesn't mean she's innocent. I just don't know that I could ever make my 2 feet walk in the direction of a courthouse trying to get an accused murderer off and celebrating when it happens. When there is no other theory, there is no other suspect. It's not a cold case. This is a dead case. There's nothing else for the Boston police to look into. There is absolutely nothing. All we know is she hated him that night, like hated him. The things she texted him were so vile, like 50 texts, drunk texts. Hate, 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 hate. She got so drunk, she swerved all the way home, and she passed out and doesn't remember what happened and got away with it. It is the OJ trial for white ladies. Karen Reed and all the Karens in the street had their day on Wednesday. Simply remarkable that happens in this country. We do like presumed innocent until proven guilty. We like that. We like the standard of reasonable doubt. This is not our justice system. We let people who commit crimes get off all the time, which is better than locking up somebody that's innocent. That's the worst. So I'll ask you this. I'll ask you what I asked John Anthony. Would you go out with Karen Reed? She's kind of hot. If you met her and she said, yeah, I'm Karen Reed. You want to go out? And John Anthony said, well, I'd go out with her, but I'd drive. We'll take my car, not her Lexus SUV. She's going to have a civil lawsuit, several of them, and so are the bars that she frequented that night. They're likely in trouble, too. I would think the second bar she went to would be in more trouble than the first. Apparently, she left the first bar hammered. And there's video evidence of this, that she was stumbling and couldn't hardly walk and all these things. Then she went into another bar and got served more. And then she got behind the wheel, and then all of a sudden, John O'Keefe's dead. But they had their day, and she is relieved, and she cried, and she was happy, and she trembled, and these women in the street celebrated like OJ was just set free. Gotta love America. I love this story from Wednesday as well. You've heard of the Trump gold card? That story sort of went away. I told you we're going to have fun today. Trump wants to sell a $5 million Trump card, a gold card, to any foreigner that wants to be an American citizen. You pay us $5 million, meet a couple of qualifications, and we'll fast-track you to citizenship. They've announced they have 70,000 applicants. That's $350 billion worth of these gold cards. 70,000 applicants, that's the number of people that came in illegally last May. That just walked across the border that Biden let them in. That's not even 1 month's worth of immigrants. We got room for these folks. You got $5 million, we want you here. Trump's theory is corporations like Apple will maybe buy 100 of these for, outrageous amounts of money. $500 million, right? And they will take foreigners from other countries and entice them to come work for Apple in California by granting them citizenship or dual citizenship. We'll make you an American. And that they will get the best and brightest from around the world. That part of their compensation package is we will get you your citizenship. And it will bring the best and brightest here. Trump's onto something. Those are the people you want to immigrate to America. Those are the immigrants we want. We want the best and brightest people around the world that are dying to be American citizens, want to come here and kick some ass. That's what we want. That's what America's immigration system should be. When you're at the top of the food chain of all the nations on earth, that's what you should expect. You can get in here, but you got to bring something. You got to bring something to the table. $350 billion worth of gold cards right now applied for. If Jerome Powell would lower the interest rates, Trump said yesterday it would save $800 billion per year in interest. The tariffs expected to bring $500 billion in. The tax code and DOGE combined expected to bring in $1.5 trillion. Folks, do you want me to run the math right there? That's $3.3 trillion that could be saved in 1 year from our annual budget if all of those things are done. If we just do those things, and that's conservative, $3.3 trillion, that balances the budget, doesn't it? Right there? I'm asking, $350 billion from the gold card, $800 billion by lower interest rates, $500 billion through tariffs, the tax code and DOGE combining for $1.5 trillion. That's in revenue coming in the new tax code. Revenues will go up, and DOGE has cut spending. $3.3 trillion. Folks, this doesn't look suddenly as hard as we thought. They're coming up with some really good ideas, and I would ask anybody to punch a hole in the theory of allowing somebody who really brings something to America, including $5 million cash to become a citizen, how that's going to be a problem for us, because that sounds like the best idea yet. 913-408-7957. Do me a favor. Bring me some sunshine today. Happy calls. Bring me some happiness. Are you happy for the Karens that celebrated the outcome of the trial yesterday? Are you happy that Trump's making money off of a gold card? What's on your mind? 913-408-7957. This is Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio. We'll try to keep it light and fun here today on this sort of holiday on a Thursday. Great to have you with us. Another good reason Trump left the G7 in Canada. You never know what may go wrong when you're in Canada, and British Prime Minister found that out. This is great. Keir Starmer is the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. He had a little mix-up on Wednesday. He was getting ready to meet the South Korean president, and he was the first on stage. Out walks the South Korean man and walks up to Keir Starmer, and he stops and he shakes his hand and he turns to the cameras and they're posing for pictures. It's the South Korean president's interpreter, not the South Korean president. I just think that's hysterical. First of all, South Korea, what are you doing? How's the interpreter walking to the stage before you? I don't even understand that. But I can't even imagine the embarrassment to be like that. Could have happened to Trump. You don't know, whatever. I don't know. It's the beginning of the thing. I couldn't pick the South Korean president out of a lineup. Now, maybe if you're going to the G7, you ought to know, but the protocol would never be for the interpreter to walk up to you first. This is just classic. What a complete and utter gaffe. I love it when things like that happen, especially when they don't happen to Republicans. We all have gaffes. We have gaffes in our life. It's part of life. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not hammering. I'm not telling you Keir Starmer can't do his job or anything like that. I just love how these things are so orchestrated They have such massive staff working on these things. All the little T's crossed, everything's so orchestrated. And then that happens. There's some sweet pictures. I'll bet the interpreter's really famous in South Korea today, and he's got a photo for life. This is when the British Prime Minister thought I was Prime Minister. I love it. I don't love the plan that the Gates family, Ollie Gates, has come up with for the Royals to build a new ballpark in Kansas City, Missouri. And it is extremely odd that this would be floated out, 11 days before the deadline in Kansas. You're going to build a Royal Tower. Like, the spinning restaurant thing is so 1980s Kansas City. We were so proud to have a spinning restaurant at the top of the Hyatt Regency. We just thought that was the coolest thing in the world. Kansas City had a spinning restaurant, and there were people of a certain age in this town that just thought that was the greatest thing ever, and they want to bring it back. So Ollie Gates wants to build something called the Royal Tower by the ballpark, which would be like the CN Tower or something in Toronto, or the Space Needle, or some of these towers you've seen in these cities. He wants to build the Royal Tower, and at the top, it will be a massive spinning barbecue restaurant. It doesn't say Gates. In fact, the description is like they'd bring in several different types of barbecue, and it would maybe be your choice to decide which place you wanted to try all in one place as an homage. It would also combine the Crossroads, downtown, and the Jazz District all in one place. Yes, indeed, I'm going to give you the address of the ballpark. Is everybody ready? Write this down. This is important. You want to talk about locations, everything in real estate. I-70 and the Paseo. I can't. I don't know how long I can keep doing the stadium thing. I don't. I need to come up with a Kevin plan. I'll just come up with something so stupid and outrageous and see if anybody takes it seriously. I have seen some whoppers as it relates to the Royals. I mean, at least with the Chiefs, we're sort of down to they're either doing something at the Truman Sports Complex, we think renovate Arrowhead Stadium, or they're building new at the Legends in KCK. We really don't know much other than that, those two places. The Royals, we still don't know, and they're the ones that started this. The mayor told Pete Mundo earlier today that the Washington Square Park location is the most likely place in Kansas City, Missouri, but technically the north of the river spot is North Kansas City, which is a small pocket that is surrounded by Kansas City, Missouri, but it is actually its own municipality. I looked it up today. According to the surveyor population, there's only 4,500 residents of North Kansas City. That's how small that area is in Clay County, and then it's surrounded by all kinds of places that are Kansas City, or they become Riverside or Parkville or some of the other suburbs or different municipalities that are around. But there's lots of Kansas City, Missouri. Drawing the Kansas City, Missouri city line is not easy. It's a strange one indeed. We've lived here our whole lives. We know that. Mayor Quentin Lucas is the mayor of Kansas City, Missouri, and that's where he wants it, is Kansas City, Missouri. That's his big thing. And it doesn't sound like anybody in Kansas City, Missouri, or certainly Jackson County, is doing much for the North Kansas City ballpark site. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. This is a stupid discussion. It is far and away the best site for the Royals to build a ballpark. It's not close. Cramming it into Washington Square Park or putting it at I-70 in the Paseo, or at one point they said East Village, the parking lots down by downtown, which is a terrible zip code for crime. No. North Kansas City is half built. It already is this quaint, really cool, nearly iconic. It would be iconic if there were a ballpark. Nearly iconic historic area of Kansas City that we've all been to and thought, well, what a neat area this is. You put a ballpark in there, you build some condos, you get people buying real estate, and you've got something really special. It's just sitting there. I don't know why the Royals would even hesitate. If the money is close, if they can get some money from Clay County, because they're going to need more. They only have 50% from Missouri, 70% from Kansas. It is absolutely the best place for them to develop and do business outside of baseball. It looks really cool to me. All right, when we continue on Uncanceled, the Democrat National Committee is broke. I love this story. We'll fill you in on the details next. Hey, it's great to be back with you. Thanks for being with us on this beautiful June Thursday. It's gorgeous outside. Hope you're having well, it's not quite summer yet. Summer starts on the 21st, right? We're a couple of days away from the official start of summer. We will look forward to that, and we will also celebrate this summer that the Democratic National Committee is broke. They're flat broke, folks. They got nothing, and they like it. So the donations have dried up because they're such a failure. If you think that like Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz had an internal spat on the right, what's going on in their party is really wild, because something tells me the money people somewhere are plotting a sea change in that party away from the wackos. That almost has to take place. They have to know that they've been exposed for what they are, and those people cannot run the party. The reason I believe that's happening is because those people that give all this money to the DNC have stopped giving money. It's gone. And they're now just a little over a year away from the midterms. So that's what they're thinking about. They have a new chairman. They've had nothing but problems at the DNC. They've gotten rid of David Hogg, who was in there briefly as the number 2 guy. It's been nothing but turmoil. And a man named Ken Martin is now running the DNC. And what did he do? What would a good Democrat do the second they become head of the DNC? Oh, he promised every single state, which makes no sense. He promised every single state more money in 26 than they've ever had before. Every state. Like, I'm going to throw money at things that are a complete waste where we're going to lose. I'm just throwing it at it. We're going to every state's going to get help. Instead of being smart and targeting it, no, he's going to give it everywhere, including, get this, Guam. He was targeting Guam. Okay, so needless to say, there are big-time billionaire donors going, well, wait a second, we might want to hold off on our money for now and find out what's going on here with Ken Martin. An insider has said it is so bleak at the DNC, and this is crazy. They're broke, but they're not in debt. Like, this is the only thing Democrats have ever touched that is not in debt. They wind up getting somebody to pay off their debts at some point, like Kamala overran on her campaign, but they take care of the debts and whatever. They take care of that because they have to by law. So this is the only thing that really actually runs on a budget or has to, reconcile what it is that they've spent. But the insider at the party told the Wall Street Journal, it's so bleak that Ken Martin, who's only been there a couple of months, has decided he needs to start borrowing money. That's the most Democrat thing I've ever heard. They actually have something that doesn't owe any money. It's not doing well. But he's promised all this money to all these states and Guam. I'm going to send you money for your elections in Guam. And now he's thinking about borrowing money to pay for it at a time when interest rates are high. This is crazy. It is one of the most Democrat things I've ever seen. If I were a donor, and I think one of the big problems they have with donors in that party is most big donors in that party have one issue that they really care about. It's either abortion, it's LGBTQ+, it's fake race baiting, it's something of that nature. And they play off that, and they generally have businesses that make massive profits off those things. Maybe it's big pharma, military, keeping the wars going. We know who these people are, and we know what they do. They're all self-serving. They're all in it to make their own money, but they have one issue. Well, they have a collection of losing issues with the American people piled into one place, and it's called the DNC. And poll after poll after poll shows that their policies are unpopular with the American people. But they've been living off billionaires giving money to unpopular things like funding wars because, I don't know, they're a defense contractor. They made all their money with national defense, and they want to keep the wars going. So we know how all this works, and I'm just the least shocked person ever that the DNC is in turmoil. I don't think they've got it right with this guy. I don't think he knows what to do. I think the last thing you would want to do with this party right now is guarantee money to every state. We're going to throw money at you more than you've ever had before when he doesn't have the money. But that's what they're doing. They're not going to be without donors. The Democrats are going to get their donors. They will wind up raising a bunch of money. They'll have it come in, and there'll probably be a report in a year that they've raised more money than the Republicans. That will probably happen. But for right now, celebrate the fact that they're broke, nobody's donating anything, and they're getting ready to borrow money because it is so bleak within the party. They do not know the direction of the party. They don't know whether it's going toward the middle. They don't know if it's going farther left. Nobody seems to know, and so they're in turmoil, and we love stories like that. I also love these two stories. In Fort Worth, this is just what we voted for, folks. In Fort Worth, Texas, ICE detained 76 illegal aliens yesterday in one place, 76, many of them in Tren de Aragua, the gang members. They had 287 firearms in their possession and 240,000 lethal doses of fentanyl. 76 people had 287 firearms and 240,000 legal doses of fentanyl. Almost everyone that they gathered, well, all of them that they gathered up are illegal. Almost every one of them had some sort of charge after they got here and were released back into our communities. Folks, these numbers are adding up big time. They're adding up fast. You take 76 illegal alien criminals with drugs and guns off the streets of Fort Worth and Dallas, you've helped the community. You've done something really good. Trump said yesterday that they have found, factual, almost 12,000 murderers, 12,000 people that are illegal aliens that have murdered somebody in America. 12,000 murderers, that's people. And he said over half of them have committed more than one murder. So that's probably 20 to 25,000 dead Americans murdered by illegal aliens right there. He was not kidding when he came down the escalator. This wasn't, I forget the girl's name and I should remember this, but a long time ago, Bill O'Reilly used to go on and on and on about this poor girl in San Francisco that was hit by a stray bullet from an illegal alien that was, I guess, shooting at a cop or something. And she was lovely, and I think she was there at like a bridge or the Battery Spencer, whatever, that looks out over the Golden Gate area there in San Francisco with her dad. And she got hit and killed. Kate Steinle, that was her name, Kate Steinle. And they wanted to pass Kate's Law in Congress. And everybody was pointing out, look, this happened to her, it could happen to you. And not enough people took it seriously because they thought, well, it happened once. Well, it sounds like there's like at least 25,000. There was a sports reporter many years ago, but this might be before Trump. This could be 15 years ago, but it might have been about the time Trump came down in Oklahoma City. And he was out riding his bicycle. I think it was an electric bike. And he got hit by a drunk, illegal alien driver. That doesn't count as the murder. That's vehicular manslaughter or whatever. How many of those things have happened? You know, these people are upset that we're sending people home that came here illegally and get DUIs. If you come here and get drunk and drive a car and you're an illegal alien, first of all, you shouldn't even have a driver's license. I'm not sure how you can be an illegal alien and drive. I'm not sure that should be a thing. I guess it is in many places. It's legal. It can be done, whatever. Then you get drunk and you get caught with a DUI and you're an illegal alien. How are you not on the first plane out? You go before the judge and the judge doesn't give you a fine or probation or say you got to do community service. The judge says you got to go home. What happened to justice in this country? Why isn't it that simple? You're convicted of a DUI. You are not a citizen of our country. Your punishment is deportation. Goodbye. You're gone. And I just don't know how we've gotten to the point where we have so many liberal judges that want to keep these people here and they only want to do it for politics. It is the only reason. In Louisiana this week, they raided Delta Downs, which is a horse track. You know, the horse races. On the back stretch where the stables are and all the horses, 81 people worked back there that were illegal aliens. They got them all in one day. And most of them had additional crimes. Some of them did not, but were working for people that had committed these crimes or were related to them or part of the ring of what they were doing. It was the same thing. It was cocaine. It was trafficking. It was firearms. It was all kinds of things that you can't do. There were a whole bunch of DUIs in there. These 80 people are all being processed for deportation. 80 doesn't sound like many, but folks, when you're on the streets of Fort Worth cleaning up gangs, when you're at a horse track finding 80 of them, and by the way, I get that farmers need some cheap labor and we can't just lose everybody all at once. The hotel industry, the restaurant industry, I think we should be focused on family businesses. And if we want to go get people out, let's look at corporations and people like I'm not saying they do it, but I know there's just certain agricultural brands, ConAgra, Tyson, some of these big corporations. If you find them there, go get those people and deport them for those corporations hiring those people. Not the mom and pop farmer that's 40 miles from the nearest town, okay, working out in the middle of nowhere on their own private land. If those folks have somebody, that's a whole different deal than our corporations doing that. When you have Delta Downs in Louisiana, a racetrack that is regulated by the state and the federal government because of gambling, Hello, you're in the gambling business. But what's more regulated? Gambling's more regulated in this country than liquor, for crying out loud. So that's your business. I'm sorry, you shouldn't have illegal aliens working there. And there's no way that the people that run that track, some people need to be fired that are running that place. There is no chance the people running that gambling operation did not know that some of the illegal aliens working at that track were also criminals in other things like racketeering and document fraud. The document fraud is filling out forms and getting free money from the federal government. That's a crime. They did that. And of course the people at the racetrack knew this was going on. And to be told, truth be told, my hunch, they didn't say this in the report, there's almost zero chance that those illegals weren't taking bets from people, illegal bets, on the horse racing. And they're right there by the horses, the trainers, the jockeys, and the owners. It's the worst possible setup. If you're trying to make sure gambling is legal and you're worried about integrity in sports and with sports gambling and things like that, you got 81 illegal aliens that have committed crimes working in the paddock with all these horses where the jockeys and trainers are, and you don't think some crazy crap is going on and they're getting rich by betting on horse races? They were. I promise you. That may or may not come out as we go forward. That's exactly where you go get illegal aliens in the workplace. That is exactly where you do it. You're protecting the consumer, the American public that goes to the track, supports the races, whatever, and you're getting the riffraff out. These are all good stories. They make me feel good. It also makes me feel good that the Democrat media is as stupid as they are. The latest panic that they had, and I can only laugh when I hear these things. The story came out yesterday that Donald Trump has approved a plan for Iran. He's approved. They came to him, and there were many plans. They said, here's what we should do. They recommend this. Trump approved the plan. And so they're like, well, he hasn't done anything. What? He's doing this. World War III is going to start. Do they not know the difference between approving the plan, deciding what you're going to do, and ordering the plan? Like, these people are paid a lot of money to sit on CNN. They literally don't know the difference between approving what we're going to do when it's go time and saying it's go time. They think it's the same thing. They think he approved a plan. Okay, well, we're not in the skies yet. Where's our airplanes? Approving a plan, do you know how long corporations take to implement a plan they approve? Like, the company we work for. I have no idea. Cumulus is probably working on approving something this month that won't be implemented until next year somewhere. Approving and doing are two different things. And these people freak out like, it's on, we're going into World War III, he's a crazy man. No, he knows what he wants to do. He's decided what he wants to do if he gets to that point. Two totally different things. I can't do anything but sit back and laugh at these Democrats, these liberals, these people in the media that can't see the difference between the two. It is just downright comical that they don't know that words matter. You know, these are the people that come up with terms like misinformation and disinformation to confuse you. But they don't understand the difference between approving and ordering. It's two entirely different things. We come back. Oh, it's our last day with Garner here today. Mark is going to be back, as I understand it. So I got some fun topics for Garner, who's done a great job in his absence. Sophie Cunningham is a young lady who played basketball at the University of Missouri. And she was a big deal at the University of Missouri, a great, great player. She is in the WNBA, and she's on the same team as Caitlin Clark, who is the face, the star of the WNBA. And we mentioned a couple of days ago that players are bullying Caitlin Clark. They're poking her in the eye. They're knocking her over. They're accepting the flagrant on fouls or technical fouls or whatever just to try to beat her up and intimidate her during games. Caitlin Clark, for her part, pushes back. She fights back. She can be a little punky herself, if we're being honest, at times. But I think most of it is in response to the fact that she's just being bullied in this league. After the incident a couple of nights ago, and the fallout of getting poked in the eye, bumped, and then another player coming over and just banging into Caitlin Clark and knocking her to the ground. A few possessions later in the game, Sophie Cunningham, the Missouri grad, who plays as Caitlin Clark's teammate, was playing defense on a fast break down the floor, and the other team's player was going up for a basket, and she just grabbed her like by the back of the neck and threw her to the ground. It looked like World Wrestling Federation, or WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment. That's what it looked like. And she was given the flagrant one or whatever and sent over to the bench. They've decided to fine Sophie Cunningham. So she's going to have to pay a fine for that hard foul. I don't have a problem with that. She's become a cult hero among people that are following this saga for being the first teammate to step up for Caitlin Clark and say, we're not taking this crap from anybody, and I'll be the enforcer. The craziest part of this, you've heard me joking that DHS chicks rock. Like, they're the ladies running the DHS are pretty nice looking, whatever. Sophie Cunningham is like the goon on this team. She's the enforcer, right? She's gorgeous.
They were showing clips of that on Fox News a little bit ago, and it's it's a brawl.
It is.
Yeah.
And have you seen her yet? Like coming and going from the game, not in uniform.
No. I just saw her on the court.
Well, we've all seen Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. They go into a game on game day and they're dressed up and they look good. My wife loves watching the ball players walk in their fancy suits and stuff. She just thinks those guys are smoking hot, right? Well, the WNBA women that have the goods, they're dressing up like it. And Sophie's one of them. She had these short things on, leaving the game the other night after she committed that foul, and some sort of I don't know what, the blouse, they used to call them blouses, I don't know what, but then a jacket over it. So it was almost like a suit with short shorts, and her legs are like 9 feet long, and she's got blonde hair and blue eyes, and she's got her hair done, and she's walking out, and it has just gone viral. The screenshots of her bullying this player and then walking out looking like the most beautiful model on a runway you've ever seen. So she's a deal now. She's something else. Sophie Cunningham. I'll say this. Sophie Cunningham could have been a Golden Girl instead of a basketball player if she wanted to. But she's a great basketball player, and I suspect I'll predict it right now. I'll predict Sophie Cunningham, if this hasn't already happened, maybe I missed it, I'll predict she's in the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition next year.
Could be.
I'll do it. She's going to be famous enough for supporting her teammate. All right, Garner, could this happen to you? You work long hours. We chronicled last week that you only got about 3 hours sleep one night after our event with Guy Benson.
It's been a busy 2 weeks. Yeah.
Did you have to steal a nap at work the next day at all? Did you ever close your eyes for like 5 minutes or anything like that?
Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I'll go out and nap in my car for about 10 minutes. Yeah.
So Trump yesterday's out on the White House lawn. They're putting in flagpoles, 100 feet high, giant flags. It's really cool. Everybody's talking about how he relates to the guys. When the media part was done with the interviews, he was about 100 feet away over by the flagpole taking pictures with the workers. And the guy with the crane, in the seat of the crane, is in the shot, passed out asleep. He's 8 feet from the president. He's in the background shot of all these guys taking pictures. He doesn't even know what's going on. The president of the United States is 8 feet away, and this guy's passed out taking a nap. I love it. Have a great Juneteenth.